They say if you want interesting photos, place yourself in front of interesting things. So, I went to Sapa, a place that's been on my mind for a while. Before you disagree and say that's cheating, and I'm just being a lazy photographer. You see, lately I've been finding it hard to go out with my camera. A lack of inspiration and motivation, which I tried to beat by committing to a 30-day challenge. But somehow it still felt lacking. One thing I'm sure of though is that I'm always excited about traveling. So, I've just arrived Sapa town, which is around a 1-hour scenic drive from the Laukai railway station. You see some mountain peaks covered in fog. It's just really incredible. Like a good start for the trip already. Later this afternoon, we're going to Cat Village and maybe do a short hike if we can find like a nice trail nearby. Originally, I thought Cat Village was a town that's gonna be filled with cats. But those are definitely not cats. You can imagine my disappointment. Oh, and the village is called that way because of the waterfall around here. It's really impressive. I mean, there was just this massive waterfall at the bottom of the village. The entire place is just surrounded by very beautiful landscapes, and you can see some clouds circling the peaks. So really nice. Highly recommend. I do have travel bucket lists, and they're the usual places you'd probably hear, like Norway, South Africa, or places that's going to be at the opposite ends of the world. The more I thought about those big goals, the more I pushed away the thought of visiting Sapa. But then I told myself that there's only so little time, but the list of places to visit is always growing. So screw it, and I should just book the flight and go. So far, I've not regretted. I can't really pinpoint exactly why traveling gives me a lot more excitement as compared to exploring a new part of my local neighborhood. Could it be the immersion to a different culture, seeing how different local practices are, or learning about some of their lifestyle? Could it be the temporary nature of the trip to a different place, which makes me want to maximize the time for exploration? I mean, I'm only going to be in Sapa for a few days, so I may as well see what it had to offer. Or could it be just because I'm on vacation and I don't need to think about my daily stresses, making me have a more carefree mindset? Or perhaps it's all of them. So I'm supposed to have a free afternoon after the Cat Village tour, and so I found this eco park called the Hamrong Mountain, and it's supposed to have like the best sunset view around town, but I don't know which trail I'm supposed to take. I eventually found a lookout point where I can watch the sun setting behind the mountains along with Sapa town in the foreground. In typical landscape photography fashion, the sunset is now blocked by clouds completely, but there's still some orange glow behind, and the scenery is really epic, so I'd still take this as a win. I didn't stay very long for the sunset because honestly I couldn't find that many compositions I liked, and the next day has an early start and I'm in for such a special treat. I don't always make it in time for sunrise, but when I do, it has to be like this. It's just really incredible. I feel so lucky right now that there's like a slight burning sky in front of me. I'm really not a morning person. I'm the type who wakes up for lunch when I can. But when I'm traveling in places like this or have ambitious photography goals, I'm completely motivated. That morning alone was enough to make me feel fulfilled for the trip already. The burning sky and how epic and painterly the landscapes were being surrounded by fog. Standing there, mesmerized with what I was seeing, it kind of makes you feel that suddenly all your worries appear much smaller. But that was just the beginning of the day, and I was off to another high point of the trip. That's the kind of high I want to be in. Fansipan is the highest mountain in Vietnam and is referred to as the roof of Indochina. Visitors can take the cable car, and the entire time I was just really wondering how these accessible transport systems were built on high mountains. The ride takes approximately 15 minutes, which offered expansive views of the surrounding landscapes, and you can even see a chain of waterfalls along the way. One problem though is that the peak can sometimes be shy. Went up so high that we're now within the clouds. Can't see anything. From the base station, you're gonna be seeing a giant Buddha to admire and an important decision to make. From the cable car station up to the Fansipan summit, there's 2 ways going up. The first one is through the funicular, which you have to pay, and the other one is to climb 600 steps. The scenic views that I anticipated didn't happen, but that's okay because I was still able to make use of the negative space in some of the photos. And being on top of Vietnam's highest point was still a very special experience to remember. 3,143 meters above sea level, top of Indochina, and I came here to see nothing. As I stood there wondering if I wasted my time on Fansipan Peak, I convinced myself to keep an open mind and be a glass half full type of person. That's when I found out that there was a flag raising ceremony that's held every day at the peak. It was very moving to see how this is considered as a solemn ritual which represented the pride of the Vietnamese people. And then as the flag rose up, there was a gap in the clouds that made it seem like it was part of the script. It wasn't the panorama of views I thought, but man, these photos gave me some goosebumps and filled me with excitement. The ride down the cable car was somewhat a different experience as I was now looking down at the expansive views of the rice terraces instead of looking up at the peak. I consider this to be some sort of teaser for what's about to come the next day. As someone who grew up in Southeast Asia, I've seen my fair share of rice terraces. But man, this is really something special. Quite impressive, and the scale of it all, incredible. The goal of the trip itself is simple. Be spontaneous, go somewhere new, hike around, do photography, and take a break. But that simple thing somehow already became an important part of who I am. Something that I can look to when I'm feeling stuck and just get lost in the moment to take photos without overthinking anything. It's also a cool memory to look back on and have these stories to share. So right before this trip, I was doing this 30-day challenge to reset my photography motivation because I haven't really been feeling like taking photos at all. So the challenge did help me get the hang of just picking up the camera, going out and take photos. I think nothing really beats going to these places that just really inspire you. You know, like landscape photography has always been my biggest motivator and inspiration in photography. And just being here in Sapa, it really just brings back that spark. I'm pretty sure I won't remember every detail of my travels, but I'll remember the highlights through the photos and especially how they made me feel in that moment, filled with spark and leaving all worries behind temporarily. So, whether it's the big once-in-a-lifetime trip you wanted or a quick weekend getaway, just go when you can. You won't regret it.